Afternoon to all of our guests, those sitting in South Africa, and a good morning to anyone that's here in the US. Um, as you know, today we'll be talking about the O-1, diving into how those with some extraordinary talent, whether it's in business, science, or art, can unlock potential access to the US. So. Just to start off by advising the format of the webinar, I will chat with our guest for the first sort of while, and once we've had a chat, we will go into a Q&A session. So if there's any questions that you have, please feel free to put them in the chat whilst we having a discussion, and then we'll get to those questions at the end. I just want to start off by introducing Immigrate to USA and myself. I'm Kirsten Halcrow. I'm the founder of Immigrate to USA. It is a website that has been born from my own immigration journey over the last 3 years, and a resource that I have developed for South Africans looking at routes and paths to the USA. It contains a number of resources, blogs, articles to help navigate the journey, and I've partnered with some of the best service providers within the immigration ecosystem to help people navigate, whether it's the planning, the moving, settling, or even starting a business. So the next introduction is my guest. I'd like to introduce Karen Lee Pollock. She's the managing attorney at Pollock P LLC. She is a very highly recognized attorney. She's been selected for D Magazine's Best Lawyers in Texas from 2014 all the way to 2024. She's also been nominated as a Texas Super Lawyer by Thomson Reuters from 2018 to 2024. And she provides full service immigration for corporations, small businesses, and individuals. So, Karen Lee, I don't know if you want to just take over and introduce your business, and then we can chat.
Thank you so much. It's my honor and privilege to be here today. Thank you for inviting me. So my name, as Kirsten said, is Karen Lee Pollock. I'm the managing attorney and owner of Pollock Immigration. We are a boutique firm located in Texas, and we have a small office in Fort Lauderdale. I have been doing this for over 2 decades. I don't want to tell you how long because I don't want to date myself. I started my career, I actually went to law school in South Africa, yay Wits, and then I did my articles there. I was admitted to the Supreme Court in South Africa, and then I came over to the United States, where I chaired the immigration practice group of one of the world's largest firms, K.L. Gates. And after that, I went to a regional firm in Texas where I chaired their immigration practice. And in 2017, we opened up our own boutique immigration firm, which focuses on family immigration, business immigration, and investment immigration. We do not do removals or deportations, strictly focusing on obtaining immigrant and non-immigrant visas for employees, professionals, working with employers and families and investors.
Thank you. So you just mentioned 2 words that I just want to clarify before we sort of jump into the O-1, and that is the difference between immigrant and non-immigrant, and then maybe where the O-1 is sort of positioned when it comes to those two different types of US visas.
Well, generally speaking, an immigrant visa is a visa to come and live permanently in the United States. When you get an immigrant visa stamped in your passport, you will come into the United States, and generally approximately 30 days later, you will get what we call a green card or a permanent residency card. It allows you to permanently live and work in the United States. And depending on the category of immigrant visa you get, after a certain period of time, 3 years in the case of marriage, 5 years in the case of employment, you can apply for US citizenship. That is the immigrant visa, so it's a permanent visa. The non-immigrant visa is a visa that allows you to come into the United States temporarily, depending on the type of visa. You may or may not be able to work in the United States. So, for example, a visitor's visa is a non-immigrant visa, which allows you to come in for a certain period of time, but you cannot work. An H-1B visa is a non-immigrant visa as well, which is for professionals and does allow you to work in the United States. And you can only stay here as long as the visa is issued, or if you get extensions from USCIS. The visa we're going to discuss today, the O-1 visa, Alien of Extraordinary Ability visa, is a non-immigrant visa. You can live and work in the United States as long as you have permission from USCIS to stay here.
Great. Thank you. Okay, so let's sort of jump into it. I think that the O-1 might be one of those visas that's slightly misunderstood or not fully understood, let's rather say it that way. So we hear about extraordinary ability. What does that actually mean? Who decides what counts as extraordinary ability?
Well, let's start with the easy part first. The people who decide that are first USCIS, United States Citizenship and Immigration Service. You file an application with supporting documents with USCIS, and an officer there will decide your case. They will review and weigh up the evidence, and then they will decide if you are an alien of extraordinary ability. Then, depending on whether you are in or outside the United States, you may be going to the consulate in your home country for an interview. The officer, again, is not supposed to re-adjudicate the O-1 visa, but they will look at the evidence again to see if you qualify to be an alien of extraordinary ability. Under the Code of Federal Regulations, an alien of extraordinary ability is someone in the science, education, business, arts, or athletics who has sustained national or international acclaim and is one of a small percentage who has risen to the top of their field. Now, for those categories that I said, science, education, business, arts, and athletics, the regulations use the term extraordinary ability. In motion pictures or television, the regulations use the word extraordinary achievement. So you must have achieved extraordinary achievement. Also, in regard to arts, they use the words such as prominent, renowned, and well-known. Arts not only includes visual arts, it includes culinary arts, and also obviously performing arts. So how you determine national or international acclaim, there are generally 8 factors that the government looks at. You have to satisfy 3 of those criteria, or you have to win, let's say, a Nobel Prize.
Okay. So let's sort of maybe focus a little bit on the business side, because I think a lot of our audience sort of sit within the business field, entrepreneurs. Uh, what sort of kind of candidates would let's sort of just unpack what does these candidates look like? I mean, are they Nobel Prize winners, or is it possible to be an outstanding entrepreneur in your field and qualify for the O-1?
Well, obviously, the easiest way would be to win a Nobel Prize or something comparable. But we have done a number of O-1 visas for entrepreneurs who've got venture capital funding, angel investor funding, have been accepted by famous VC accelerators such as 500 Startups and Techstars, and people who have won prestigious business awards. As I said, it's international or national acclaim. So APSA, Businessman of the Year, things like that. So national awards in your own home country are very good evidence of extraordinary ability. Also, media articles. Let me tell you what the criteria are
Yeah.
first, and we can go through it. So you've got to either have won a Nobel Peace Prize or something comparable to that, or you have to satisfy 3 out of 8 criteria. So those are national or international awards, membership in prestigious organizations that normally are by invitation only or require outstanding achievement of the members, major media or press about you or your business or your projects, um, playing a lead role of original contribution or major significance, scholarly articles or presentation at conferences. You are the judge of the work of others, commanding a high salary, that you can show you've played a critical role for a distinguished organization. Um, and then USCIS will look at comparable evidence as well, where some of those criteria might not apply. So, for example, I know you're talking about business, but in the field of culinary arts, you're not going to have somebody who is publishing journal articles or scholarly articles. So they will look at comparable evidence.
Okay.
So, in the business sense, we would look at one of the factors could be commanding a high salary or winning international or national awards. And instead of winning those national or international awards, we sometimes look at venture capital funding or stock option compensation or grants as an award.
Okay. So the O-1 visa, as you mentioned, is a non-immigrant sort of path. How long does the O-1 last? Is there a longer term path to permanent residency through the O-1? What's the process?
Well, let me start with how long the O-1 is. The O-1 is either based on an itinerary, so you will be granted the visa for your itinerary that you're coming here for events. So if you can show that you have events for, let's say, 6 months, you will only be given the O-1 for 6 months. If you're coming here through employment or through an agent, um, and you can show that you have work in an employer-employee type relationship, the maximum the O-1 can be issued for is 3 years, and it can be renewed indefinitely. There is a path to permanent residency through the O-1. You can apply for a regular green card in the EB2 or EB3 category. EB2 category is somebody who has a master's degree or a bachelor's and 5 years of experience and has an employer willing to sponsor them for a green card. There is also the EB2 national interest waiver, where you do not need an employer if you can show that your project is of national interest and that you're well positioned to advance the endeavor, or you have an advanced degree. In that case, you don't need an employer to sponsor you. Then finally, there's the EB3, which is also employment based, and that's for a professional with a less than 5 years experience, or for skilled workers or unskilled workers. But there is a path.
Okay. And just to clarify, with the O-1, do you need to be associated with a business or have a job offer, or what are the requirements from that perspective?
Well, yes, you do. So you cannot self-petition an O-1. How we've got around that is, let's say there is an entrepreneur who's starting his own business. His company could be an agent and would act as the sponsor, as an agent. We would have an itinerary of events that they would be doing. We would have an agency agreement or contract, so they could have an agency petition for them or an employer petition for them.
How easy is it to find an agency? Is it something that you facilitate, or is that something that the individual needs to sort of work out themselves?
There's no formal agency. The startup company in the United States could be their agent.
Okay. Okay, got it. Got it. Um, what are some of the mistakes that people make when applying for the O-1 that you've sort of seen in your experience?
I think maybe providing too much evidence. We always want to provide reference letters. I would say no more than 10. And we don't want to keep repeating the same facts in those reference letters. And they need to be from people who are experts in their field, in their own right. Uh, Earlier, I had said you've got to satisfy 3 out of 8 criteria. However, the government looks at the evidence in a totality of circumstances. It looks at all the evidence as a whole. So just because you're ticking 3 boxes doesn't mean that you will automatically get an O-1. They look at the quality of the evidence. So this is a really silly example, but if you're a famous singer and you get a letter from the Grammys or somebody like that, it's going to carry a lot more weight than a letter from your grandmother that says you're the best singer in the world. So I would be very selective of the type and caliber of reference letters that you have.
Okay.
Also, I think another mistake is not having a proper, robust itinerary of events that you will be partaking in or employment.
Okay. Okay. Uh, Family and O-1, how does it work? Can you bring your family? Can they work?
You can bring your family, you can bring your spouse and children under 21. They will be given what is called O3 visas. They unfortunately cannot work. It does not come with work authorization.
Okay. Um, if someone who's sort of joined us today thinks that they might qualify, sort of what are the first steps? Should they start building a portfolio of evidence? What do you recommend if they want to sort of embark on this process?
I think that they should, it can be done in parallel. They definitely need to embark on getting a portfolio together that can take a considerable amount of time. I think it's helpful to talk to a seasoned immigration attorney who does O-1 visas so that they can see what type of evidence would be helpful in their specific field. Because although there are those 8 criteria we mentioned, there are specific things you can get for your type of industry that lends itself to your particular industry. So I think having a consultation with an immigration attorney and building your portfolio at the same time would be helpful. It can take some time to get media published about you, to have scholarly articles published in prestigious journals, to be the judge of work of others. In certain research or academic fields, we want citations to your work. So that can take some time, if not years, to build up.
Okay. Um, is there anything else? Is there anything that you think I've missed in terms of just important information that people should sort of bear in mind regarding the O-1?
The O-1 is a really good visa to get. It's not easy to obtain, but it's a good visa in that, unlike other visas, there's no maximum date that you can come. You can renew it indefinitely, up to 3 years at a time. There is no prevailing wage, so there's no minimum salary that is required. Um, it can be flexible in that you can have multiple employers that you work for if you have an agent and the proper itinerary. So it is a very versatile visa that you can obtain.
Okay, awesome. So I just want to check if anyone has any questions, if you want to pop them into the chat for us. I think Karen Lee has sort of been great in being very clear in what's sort of required regarding the process. So I feel like most of my questions around the visa have been answered. If there's any questions, you want to pop them in the chat, and we'll see if we can answer those for you. Let's just have a look. Um, we have a question here from Anthony. Is there a difference between the list of criteria for the O-1 and the EB-1?
No, they're very, very similar. So that you would use the same criteria for the EB-1.
Okay. Um, okay, there's a question here is, can you clarify between the EB-1 visas and the O-1?
The O-1 is a non-immigrant visa that will be issued for a specific period of time, whereas the EB-1 is for an alien of extraordinary ability green card or permanent residency. The EB-1 will allow you to live and work permanently in the United States, so there's no expiration date.
Okay, so uh, just
It's for a green
just
card.
yes. I mean, my understanding is generally, as a route, it's easier to sort of start with a non-immigrant and move to an immigrant, then go straight into an EB visa. Is that a right take on it?
I think it really depends on the facts of the case and how strong the evidence is. I think that the evidence needs to be a lot stronger. This is just my personal opinion. The evidence needs to be a lot stronger for an EB-1 than for an O-1.
Okay. What is the general timeline from application to approval for the O-1?
An O-1 you can get approved by premium processing. If you pay an additional fee of $2,805, you can get that approved in as little as 15 business days. If you don't pay the additional premium processing fee, it can be 5 to 6 months before you get an answer. And then it's a matter of scheduling an appointment at a consulate in your home country to have the visa issued in your passport if you are outside the United States. And that can take a couple of months depending on the consulate where you're going.
Um, this one says, I'm currently on an H-2A visa. I'm on my fourth year working in the States. Would this visa help me and my family with immigration, or is it easier to apply on my current visa?
Well, that's nothing to do with an O-1 visa. I think if I understand the question correctly, the person's on an H-2A farmer. It's an agricultural worker visa that they're working on right now, and they can apply for a green card based on the EB3 skilled worker or unskilled worker category, depending on their job. That is going to take at least 4 to 5 years to obtain. They will be required to have an employer sponsor them.
Okay. Does having dual citizenship, South Africa and UK, complicate things or make things easier?
It's neither. It doesn't complicate things. It doesn't make it easier.
Okay. Um, okay, let's have a look. I am currently on, can't read that, O1B. Is there an O1B? Yeah.
Yes, so there's an
O1,
O1A and
okay.
an O1B. O1B is for people in the arts.
Okay, sorry, this is O exclamation B, but it must be, I'm on an O1B. How difficult is it to renew? And is it then better to reapply for the EB type visa?
Well, renewal will just depend on the facts of your case and the evidence that you have. But generally, if you've been granted an O1B already, there should be no reason why it's not renewed, as long as you can show that you are still in the same field and have been performing the job in the same field and have maintained status and haven't violated it. I don't see any reason why it shouldn't be renewed, but we would have to look at the facts of each case for that. I think there was another question onto that, but I can't remember what it was.
There's one that says, would it be very difficult for a performing artist to obtain an O-1 if they don't have an agent or a specific itinerary?
Yes, yes. In order to get an O-1, you have to have an employer sponsor you or have an agent. And if you do have an agent, the agent will have to list an itinerary of events that you will be performing in order for you to get that visa. So I'm not sure what type of performing artist you are, but they would have to have an itinerary of performances, and the more performances, the longer your visa will be issued for.
Okay. There's another one here. It's a little general. If I have my own business in South Africa, how does it work then?
Okay.
Um, it's a bit
Assuming,
general.
yeah, but assuming you're looking to apply for an O-1A, you would have to satisfy 3 out of the 10 criteria. And depending on the circumstances, if you have funding and you have a company that has been registered in the United States, that company could potentially be the agent for you.
Okay. Uh, But obviously, how does applying how much does applying for the O-1 cost? Is it possible to do it without a consultant, or do you need a representative?
Um, I'm not sure I'm understanding that. The fees vary by lawyer. Different lawyers and law firms charge different fees based on their education and experience. And it can run the gamut. It also depends on where the lawyer is located. What was the rest of the question? Sorry.
It says, can I do it with a consultant? I'm assuming it's saying, can I apply without an immigration attorney? I mean,
I
I think
suppose
you
it's
can answer,
possible.
you could, but maybe you can just kind of give us an idea. I mean, there's value in working through an immigration attorney. Maybe just
Uh,
you can just
yeah, I mean, it
help
sounds
us.
self-serving, but I think it's a pretty complicated visa. The one thing we didn't touch on is we also need advisory opinions or no objection letters from labor unions, management organizations, and peer groups in the field saying that the person has the expertise or they have no objection to them working in the United States in that field. Sorry, I just thought of that right now. So we need those as well. I think that it's also all about how you package and present the package to immigration. Some of our packages are highly voluminous, and you want a support letter, which typically is drafted by the attorney, summarizing the evidence and explaining how you fit at least 3 of the 8 criteria.
Yeah.
So I think there's value in hiring an immigration attorney. Having said that, do people do it on their own? Absolutely.
Yeah. I'm part of a founding team of a tech company that is registered in the US. We are also VC funded, US VCs. It's best for the co-founder of the business and myself, currently working out of South Africa, both South African, to be based in the US. This is where investors, customers, and partners are based. Is this a solid foundation to work off, and would you recommend the O-1?
I'd need to look deeper into it to see if there's other alternative visas available as well. But uh, on a cursory review, I think it could be possible. We would have to look at what type of funding, what type of venture capital fund, is it a well-known one? How much investment? What role did the entrepreneur play? Did they play a lead role in the project? What are they actually doing? Can they get reference letters from the VC fund about why they selected them, why they chose to invest in their project? If you can satisfy that criteria, potentially an O-1 could be doable.
Okay. Um, this is going a little off topic, but if you visit the US annually on a tourist visa, and as well as being a tourist, you meet two clients and discuss business, does that violate your tourist visa? If so, what is the easiest visa to obtain for a UK and SA national to visit the US for up to 60 days a year and during that time spend 2 weeks working? At this stage, there's no intention to move to the US. I don't wish to jeopardize future applications should I wish to immigrate.
Okay, well, you can come on business on a business B visa to the United States as long as you are performing work for a foreign entity and you are not working in the United States. You can come here to attend meetings that will further the intention or advance the foreign company. As long as you're not working here and you're not paid a salary here, you could be compensated for your hotel expenses or travel expenses, then you'll be fine. Also, do not come to the United States too often because eventually you'll be stopped and they're getting really strict about this. Officer will stop you and say, hey, you need a work visa to come here.
Okay. Um, how much would Pollock Immigration charge for an initial consultation?
That depends on the length of the consultation. We do introductory rates for a 15-minute call. I think it's $70 or something like that.
Okay, sounds good. Um, if one were to qualify for the O-1, one's own company petition and the L1, which is better? Which is a better option?
Really depends on the facts of the case. I would have to look at it. Um, an L1 in a lot of circumstances could be easier to obtain. It's not an easy visa by any means. They're clamping down on L1s and scrutinizing them. But just depending on which boxes you check and what criteria you satisfy, an L1 may be better for you, depending if you can satisfy at least 3 of those 8 criteria we discussed. An O-1 may be better if you can find an agent or an employer willing to sponsor you. Let me just clarify with the agent, they don't have to be in the business of sponsoring O-1s. They could be a US citizen individual who is a family member who is going to be your agent as long as they can provide an itinerary and an agency agreement. You don't have to go through a formal agent.
Okay, okay. I think we have covered all the questions. Thank you. Thank you to everyone who took the time to listen and join us. We have some webinars coming up in the next few weeks, and I'll keep everyone posted. Thank you to Karen Lee for your time and your expertise. Really appreciate you giving us some great insights. And yeah, we'll look forward to talking to you again on another topic.
Thank you very much for having me. It was a pleasure to be here today.
Awesome. Thank you and goodbye.
Bye bye.